Guys, I am here with the real Mark Golden on Twitter. Mark, how are you tonight?
I am fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing, it's okay. It's been kind of a rough day today.
Why? What's going on, man?
Well, really, we have been cleaning out our childhood home. We're giving it, we're either selling it, I'm not sure what we're doing right now, but we're getting in the process of getting that cleaned out. My brother kind of trashed the place. He had, some problems, and he let it go, and it's in really bad condition now. So.
Well, that's a shame. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I don't really have a lot of connection to a childhood home, but I know a lot of people who do, and that's a shame.
Yeah, it was a tough day, but it was a good day. My sister came up with her husband, and, we looked through pictures in the past, and, it's a good reminiscing thing. It's just sad to see, your memories. You can't go back in there anymore,
No, you can't, but they can't take away what's in your head, right?
There you go, or in your heart,
That's right.
So, how's your weekend going so far?
Oh, it's really nice. I had a long work day today, but I'm off tomorrow and on Monday, and I am just relaxing tonight and going to a friend's house tomorrow to say goodbye. A coworker, an employee of mine actually, who is leaving, and we're going to go over to her place and have a little lunch or whatever. But yeah, I'm just relaxing tonight. I was at the grill, which I was out grilling tonight and having a nice relaxing evening and watching the network.
There you go. What are you watching tonight on the network?
Well, I was watching the Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat series from 1989. They had a match from a Chi-Town Rumble, and then it was Clash of the Champions 6, and now I'm watching Music City Showdown. And well, I'll tell you something. This was a great series. 1989 was a great year for NWA. It was really good wrestling. Really, really, really good stuff here.
Yeah, Mark, you are really into the WCW. In the few conversations we've had, I've really seen that you're really into the WCW, and
well, I like WCW until about 90, until Hogan came in. Everybody started to get on board then, but I didn't care as much anymore. But what were you saying?
I was just saying, that's cool, yeah.
Go ahead.
But you weren't a big fan of the NWO?
It was okay. It really kickstarted a lot of good things. It was a lot of fun, but for me as a wrestling fan, I enjoyed the NWA in the late '80s, mid to late '80s. I enjoyed that a lot when I was growing up.
See, I unfortunately didn't get that because I wasn't in an area. Like I've said in the past, I've watched it at my grandparents'. I watched TBS. I watched the WCW stuff when I could.
Yeah.
It wasn't every weekend. Just in my area, we didn't get cable till Raw went on, pretty much live on USA is when we pretty much got cable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody had WWF as a kid. That was always the first widespread mainstream wrestling that everyone had.
Where did you grow up?
Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area. We had cable when I was growing up. My dad watched wrestling, and I think my dad was probably I know for sure he was, because when I was little, Dad would always get us tickets to the Pittsburgh Civic Arena to see wrestling. We'd go to see WWF when I was like 6 or 7. I was still in first grade, and my kids were talking about, what I don't even remember, but I was into wrestling. I was watching. We were going to see WWF, and it was on TV at home. We had cable, so I started watching through him. I started watching NWA, and I liked the realism of NWA. Even as an 8-year-old, I always thought that the NWA was realistic and aggressive and good physical wrestling, and that's even as a kid, that's what appealed to me then. So I never got to see the NWA or WCW live, but when NWO days started, it just became like just the sports entertainment stuff. I mean, it was fun, and it really set the Monday Night Wars off and brought the business up. But for pure wrestling, I always enjoyed the NWA and WCW at the time.
Oh yeah, WCW Saturday Night. I remember watching that quite a bit. It was always a good program. I always enjoyed the wrestling. You know, you got William Regal, like we've talked about in the past. You know, such a great underrated wrestler.
Yes.
You know,
William Regal.
Yeah, I think you mentioned back when the last time we were on the podcast, the last time we didn't get it up. This time I won't erase it, I promise.
Very good.
You mentioned William Regal, you know, how his tactics used to be when he was a television champion to kind of, you know, go the time limit draw.
Yes.
And so, what's your thoughts on William Regal?
I like William Regal. I think he's a real throwback. He kind of has a Cesaro / Ben Barrett. He was that before that was cool. You know, that style, that old school Animorph throwback. And to take a match and force your opponent to go the time limit to retain your title is a great heel move. I think that, again, I can't stress this enough, and Jim Ross says this on his podcast too, and I totally agree with it, not just because it's Jim, but I just do, that time limits need to return to wrestling. If you're going to have a match, or matches that you expect people to believe them to be legitimate, you have to have a semblance of rules and guidelines to go by. The rules are there, set in place to keep it legitimate, and also to get heels over by breaking them. And with let's just have a match, and there's no time limit, or there's no time limits ever. There's no rules that they can break. It really limits the it limits what heels can do to be heels. Again, it's true. What sets heels apart today from everyone else? The heels come out, they're badass, they're brash, they're tough, they talk shit, and everybody loves it. If you had a guy who, like Regal, to keep his television title, would do everything he took to stretch out that 15 minutes every week or half hour on pay-per-views to keep his title, and just going to a draw, that pissed everyone off, and that's smart. That's smart. That is heel 101. That's wrestling 101. They just don't have that anymore.
No, they don't. They really don't. And I really like you, Mark. You're just an old school wrestling fan, and I just like talking to people like you. You know, you have respect for what we love. You know.
You're damn right, I do. And that's because I think it's because I know what I grew up on, and it hasn't left me. And even though the business has changed to a pretty big degree, I haven't changed what I like. And sometimes still to this day, and even with WWE, they have some things that are still the same, but not much. And I think and this is what I learned by watching NXT TakeOver the other night, was I think wrestling is coming back. Wrestling. And that was a hell of a show. There's nothing. It's pretty bad when your farm league is better than your main event, and that's what they've got right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if you watched that NXT thing. Now, I think the more and more, I hate to say it, of course, my guy is Triple H. I think this man will bring a sense of normalcy in wrestling back to the product as he slowly takes over the role of the leader of the WWE.
Well, he's completely in control of NXT. It's his brainchild. and that's clear. It is more of a physical competition. It is more about championships. It's more about the matches. It is clear who's in charge of NXT. He is, and he even said it at the end, at the NXT Fallout. He said, well, I can't completely understand what it's like to give birth. I would guess this is about as close as it gets. Because he felt that it was his brainchild, it was his baby, and that crowd was on the edge of its seat. And it was a near 2-hour show, and everyone really loved it, and it was just really a very good wrestling show. And he is in charge, and I think fans of Triple H and fans of wrestling, they need to just be patient because Vince isn't getting any younger, and I think when he steps down, Triple H will be in charge of things, and it'll be a lot different.
I think it's going to be a while before Vince actually steps down. I think he'll have to go crazy, or he will have to die for him ever to completely give up the WWE.
He won't step down, but I think that as time rolls on and he sees how the times have changed. I think wrestling is coming back, and to a certain degree, it hasn't ever really left. And I think Vince will have less of a hand on things in the next year or so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I think he will. Yeah, he might give up publicly. He will, but I don't think privately he will completely give up till he's either mentally incapable or he's dead. That's just my opinion.
Right. Well. Triple H, Vince knows that his son-in-law knows what's going on and he knows the business and he knows what works. If wrestling didn't matter anymore, the last two-hour live specials of NXT were almost entirely pure wrestling. And if it didn't work anymore, the first one, Vince McMahon would have said, "We're not doing this anymore." Not only did they do it again, not only did they not do it anymore? They did it again, and then they continued to do it. And it's coming out in Monday Night Raw too. They're having more focus on. They did a video package on the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title. They did it on the SmackDown last night too. And talking about the significance of the championships. They're bringing the significance of wrestling back. They just are. The wrestling fans have come full circle, and they come around again, and it's not about nonsense and stupid storylines and things that aren't. Okay, I'm going to backtrack here a second. Storylines are important if it's about the product. If it's just to make the owner laugh, then it's silly. But if it's about the product and it's about the show and it's about competition and championships and the competitors, then of course it makes sense. Cold matches just thrown on the show at the last minute is a real channel changer.
Yeah. Very good point, Mark. Let's start off talking about, we've been talking, but let's talk about the Payback special event we have tomorrow night live on the WWE Network. Are you going to be watching the Payback pay-per-view?
Of course. Of course. As a proud WWE Network subscriber, I think that is one of the multitude of perks that are available.
Right.
Is the live shows, the pay-per-views, as it were. I would not have, and I think Justin DiBiase pointed this out too, that had he not been a WWE Network subscriber, he would not be watching the show. I definitely will be tuning in. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be pretty good. I think we're going to see...
All right, why don't we go down the matches and we'll go through, and so I can give your opinion on what you think's going to happen. All right, we have the pre-show match that nobody really cares about, as I like to call it, the JVC Combo Box nobody gives a shit match of the night.
Okay. Yeah,
If
you're
you
talking
remember
about
right, JVC Kaboom Box was a sponsor of WWE many years ago during.
Sunday Night Heat. I think they had that one as a sponsor. Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Sunday Night Heat. Yeah,
Uh,
I just remember that.
right. I think that you're gonna. Hornswoggle's hair is getting kind of long, and they just cut Torito's tail off the other night. So I think
Yeah.
that that was symbolic of his. He's gonna have hair like me here pretty soon. Yep. I think Torito's gonna win that one.
I think Torito's going to win that as well. We have the United States Championship match between Sheamus, the champion, and Rob Van Dam.
Sheamus, I think, will retain that only because he just won it, and RVD is not. RVD is becoming. He's not championship caliber right now. RVD is going to be used right now to get others over. I think you're going to see Sheamus retain.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember which one. One of the many I listened to about wrestling.
Wait a minute. No, wait. Hold on a minute here. Sheamus and no. Sheamus is wrestling Cesaro.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Bad News Barrett is taking on RVD.
Okay, sorry. My bad. That you're right. So Sheamus. So Rob Van Dam versus. Sorry, that's right. You got Bad News Barrett. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sheamus and wait a minute. RVD and Bad News Barrett. Bad News Barrett will retain against RVD. Yeah.
Sorry about that. That was my bad.
That's okay.
And so back to the Sheamus versus Cesaro match. Who do you think wins?
That will be really good. But I say the same thing that I said in the previous match. I think that both champions, the second tier championships, there will not be a title change, in either match.
I don't. Yeah. Rob Van Dam. I don't think. Like I was saying, I was listening to some podcast that the host said that Rob Van Dam, he just doesn't seem like his back. His moves just don't seem to have like snap on him and pizzazz on him as they used to. He's just there for a paycheck, and that's how I feel.
Well, like I said, I think he knows his role now. I think he's going to be, because he's got credibility, and I don't think they're going to put any championships on him. I think they're going to use him right now as a guy who will get some wins on Raw and he'll get some wins on SmackDown, but he'll put guys over for a while too on big cards like tomorrow night.
Correct. And now we have Biggie Langston versus Alexander Rusev.
Rusev's been on a winning streak. He hasn't been defeated, and I think they're going to continue that. And as much as Rusev has been on a winning streak, Big E, who a couple of months ago was undefeated, has now been losing pretty much every time I've seen him in action. So I think
this will be Rusev's. I think it's just going to be a regular muscle man match. But I think Rusev needs to do some more things than we've seen. I don't think they need to go the route of just going in there and just squashing people with him. We've seen it too many times when these big guys come up, because I know why they do it, because they're not as good at certain things. But I just want to see what Rusev's got. Let us give it to us once, and let's see what the kid got, Yeah,
he's okay. Rusev is I don't know. He's kind of one-dimensional, like you said. He's going to go out there and choke someone out with that Steiner recliner or whatever it is, and he's.
Is that the Steiner recliner, or is that the friggin'
I don't know what it's called. That's what it looks like to me. He's doing where that locks his hands under the neck there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but he's the insulter or intimidator or something. But he's gonna.
Yeah.
He's gonna go over, of course, and he's just.
Well, I think Lana is why he's over.
Well, that's his real life girlfriend. I read too.
That's his real life girlfriend. Damn, he's lucky, man.
She's okay. I still say the hottest girl in wrestling is Velvet Sky. Easily Velvet Sky. She's the hottest woman in wrestling. I think sexiest.
Currently? You mean currently, yeah?
Yeah. I used to always
the sexiest woman? I don't know.
Velvet Sky. Yeah, she's pretty nice.
Yeah, she's pretty nice, yeah. I'm not saying that she's not, but I'm just trying to think if that's who I think is the top sexiest woman in the business.
But as we saw in the Horseman Hangout, you seem to like Stephanie a lot, right?
Oh, I love Stephanie. I love Stephanie McMahon. She was my number one favorite. Well, other than Lita. Lita's one of my favorite divas of all time.
She's okay. All right, of all the divas or knockouts or whatever, then who would you say from beginning to end was the hottest at their peaks, their primes? I was Sunny. I was always a Sunny guy. I always liked Sunny, and I don't care for blondes too much, but I always thought Sunny was really nice.
Sunny was hot. Lita, like I said, was hot. Trish Stratus was hot.
Yeah, Trish was nice too.
Yeah, I know her tits are fake, but whatever.
All of those are. Every diva or every woman wrestler with big jugs, they're as fake as as wrestling. I mean, they're not real, of course.
What did you think about Sable?
Not nearly as hot as everybody else thought she was. She was okay. I never thought she was all that. She was okay. She was attractive, but I never thought she was as hot as everyone else did.
The important question here is, did you see her Playboy spread?
I had it. I bought them. Both copies, and I had the China one too.
There you go. I had the.
Yeah, I'm older than all
of you.
I'm older than all of you Horseman Hangout boys. I'm about 10 years older than most of you. I'm 38. I had those. I was the. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time with this, but I was the prime demographic age during the Attitude Era. I was 23, 24 during the Attitude Era. I was their prime target. You guys were all younger than me.
I was in high school.
Yeah, well, maybe you too, but I'm saying, I mean, for early 20s, I think that I got it, and I knew that I was who they were trying to reach out to. Looking back now, I'm glad I was the age that I was during that time.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad I was that age, too, yeah. I mean, I was in high school, and the best thing was I had a guy, my right-hand man at school was one of my teacher's assistants, and he was a wrestler, so we talked wrestling all the time. It was awesome.
He was a professional wrestler? What was it, Matt Striker?
No, he was an independent wrestler.
Really?
Yeah. He would take off sometimes. It was like his second job. You know, the wrestling was his second job if he got opportunities. My school would allow him to go and do his opportunities and then come back and start working again.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool.
He went to Puerto Rico for a while, and then he came back, and he wrestled down there for a while. He actually got to put a set of handcuffs on The Undertaker. He arrested him in a backstage segment.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Did, probably when he was fighting with Brock or something.
I think it was during the Attitude Era, actually. It was during, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was during the whole build-up. It was either during sometime he was battling with Triple H.
Oh, okay. Well, did your teacher, did he enjoy what was going on?
Yeah, man, dude. We were total marks. We just talked about wrestling all the time. People would have to tell us to shut up about it, We just talked about it. And there was a lot of people there, and a lot of people would watch it during that because they were quote-unquote wrestling fans, but they would just hear about it and they'd watch it and then they'd come and talk about it, They weren't really wrestling fans. They were just, they were watching it because the product was at its all-time peak.
That's the thing. During that time, that was the salad days for wrestling fans, but it was a time when people who didn't give two shits about it before we're watching, and that kind of annoyed. I was glad for it, but it kind of annoyed me too because I was like, where the hell were you, 5 years ago?
Right.
Those same people were gone 5 years later. It was just like they were watching it because it was the in thing to do.
Right.
When people like us who were fans were glad for those times because it was really hot and we were getting wrestling it was on almost every night of the week. It was like 3 or 4 days of the week you got to see wrestling, and those were the days before the internet and the network and stuff, of course. But it was for fans. It was it'll never be that again. I mean, they're trying. They're coming up. Other organizations are popping up, and other TNA's trying to survive, and Ring of Honor's trying to grow, and Global Force is trying to become something, and that by the end of the year, and WWE is just they're leaps and bounds above anybody ever. There's never going to be a competition like that again, unless you have some billionaire who pumps a bunch of money into a company and it blows up again like that. For wrestling fans at the time, it was like we've landed, we've done it. We finally, everybody's seeing what we've seen. Everybody's seeing what we've seen.
I remember back in that era, I was one of those channel flippers. I would, we would, as soon as Raw would end, like WCW Nitro would have like 5 more minutes. Sometimes it would go 10 minutes. But we could see the end of Nitro, and I just remember flipping back through the channels.
Right.
Back and forth.
Well, I used to watch Raw live, and I had a VCR going, and I would record Nitro, and I'd watch it the next morning or something. But sometimes there were nights when my friend would call me, and he'd say, "Oh, man, check this out or check that out." But at the time, I was a Raw. By then, I was a WWF Monday Night Raw guy. I mean, they had everybody. You had Jared the King on play-by-play. You had Stone Cold and Undertaker and Mick and DX and Val Venus. I mean, it was going crazy, and that was the show to see. Even before they were hot. Like I liked Stone Cold versus Bret Hart family in '97 and '96 when Austin
when
came
Bret
in.
Hart came out and did the anti-Canadian thing.
That was great, and people weren't watching it then. People were into NWO, and I just didn't buy into it. I mean, NWO, don't get me wrong.
By the time that came, the NWO was around, it was like you got beat up by the NWO, you joined the NWO the next week.
It was, they didn't, and even Eric Bischoff said it. He said, we didn't know what to do next. It was just the same thing every week over and over again. It was, I don't know, I didn't buy into it. I didn't fall for it.
Who do you think's the only guy in WCW? Do you know anything about this? Who the only guy in the WCW never to join the NWO? Any faction of the NWO?
Roddy Piper never did. He was honestly, he didn't. Roddy Piper didn't join an NWO faction.
Nope. I mean, who was there? I'm talking like somebody who was there the whole run, though, of the NWO. It's a hard question because I can't tell you.
Chris Benoit.
Benoit, all right. Did Mysterio?
He was in the red and black, I think.
Or was he in the LWO?
Yeah, one of them. He was in a WO of some point. I thought
he was in the Filthy Animals. I don't think he was. I know he's in the Filthy Animals. That's what he was in for a while.
They had so many luchadors there. I honestly, I don't know about Guerrero or Mysterio, but maybe Finley. Finley wasn't one.
No, Finley never did. No.
Dean Malenko didn't. Perry was. I don't know about Perry Saturn.
No, I don't think any of those guys did. I don't think any of the Radicals, the guys that became the Radicals when they came over.
See, here's the thing. I look at the WCW between like '95 to about till they died. It was a clusterfuck from the get go.
Day
And
one.
if you if you from 95 until or 94, 95 until they died, I can't tell you a whole lot that I remember, but I could tell you a whole lot that I remember from WWF from that during that period. I honestly, there was just so much.
Yeah, I was just watching all that stuff. If I didn't see it on Superstars or whatever I had, Raw, I would get the pay-per-views like a month later, but I got them on VHS. I made sure that I went to the video store and rented that last pay-per-view.
Yeah, like I said, for WCW pay-per-views, no. Okay, during that time.
Oh no, not WCW. I'm talking WWF.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, during that time though, every month, my friends and I, or me and 3 other guys, would get together.
Yep.
And get every pay-per-view, and we would split the cost of the. We'd each chuck $10 and
yeah, but that's back when it was $20, right?
It was like 30 maybe each show, whatever. We'd just throw some money. Whoever was hosting that night, we get together every pay-per-view, and we would get a bunch of food and have some beer and watch pay-per-view. It was like at that time it was twice a month. Because you had WWF shows and WCW, and we got them all. We really did. And even if we bitched about how piss poor the WCW shows got, we still we got them anyway. The next month we still did, because we said this one, because that one where Hogan turned, we were like, well, if you miss it, you're gonna miss something like that, and we
right.
Got them every time.
Right. Sting never joined the NWO, did he?
Yeah, he was the Red.
Oh yes, that's right.
What is that? The Wolf Pack or whatever it was. Him and Conan and Nash, I think. Yeah,
but he never joined up with Hogan's NWO though, right?
The original group, no, because he was always fighting that. Remember?
Yeah. Didn't they have like an angle where he was going to, but then they brought out the fake one?
Yeah, or they did the thing and where they had a guy. This is Sting, and it didn't look a whole lot like him.
No, he was too jacked up. He was way more jacked up than Sting ever was.
He was pretty beefy. Yeah, he was. They said that it was Sting, and it wasn't. I don't even remember who that guy is.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't join them. The whole thing was that that's when. And they even said that, I think Eric Bischoff said it, that Scott Hall came up with him, with the idea of the Crow, yeah. He said Scott Hall. Yep.
Yeah, that was good Sting. That was some good Sting era back then. Well, we've gotten off subject here. We were talking about the Payback pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, give me the rest of the card here. Let's see.
All right. Paige taking on or defending her championship against Alicia Fox.
Okay. Alicia's been pretty aggressive lately, I think. She's got a kind of a she was beating up, dumping something on this guy and giving him a big wedgie. You know, that was Tugboat's son.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, that guy that she pulled his under. You know, she gave him a wedge.
Was he there or something?
I don't know. I don't.
Was he like an extra that night? That was the guy.
I think it was just he's maybe going through the system there or something.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's Fred Ottman's son, and that was kind of funny. But is
Tugboat still alive? Is he?
He's still alive?
But, yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that he died.
No, okay.
Well, did you hear that he died?
No. I know that Earthquake's dead.
Yeah, he died a while ago. No, Fred Ottman's around. Yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Paige will retain. Yeah, she's going to keep that for a while, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about this? You know, her Alicia Fox going crazy type character.
It's okay. I mean, the guys do it. There's every once in a while somebody will have a character where he's mental. Why not the girls too? I mean, they don't have AJ not AJ Styles, AJ Lee anymore. So so they need somebody to flip out. Sure, why not? And she's okay. I don't think she's going to be the champ, but she'll give her a match. Sure, she's been kicking some butt, I guess. I don't know. But Paige will retain. Yeah.
Yeah, Paige will retain. I believe that too. Last man standing: Bray Wyatt versus John Cena.
Okay, if they play their cards right, if they do things right, I think Bray. He should win because every match they've had so far hasn't Cena won.
Right.
Hasn't Cena beaten beat Bray every. No, he won the cage match. I stand corrected, but it was. It's just like the rubber match. They've each won a match, but I think that if Cena wins, that means this program's going to continue.
Right.
No, I take that back. If Bray wins, the program. Okay, Bray should win, but I hope he doesn't because if Cena wins, that.
Okay, let me give you the scenario. If Bray Wyatt wins this match tomorrow night,
yes,
and the feud continues, what type of match, or do you think they will have another stipulation match at Money in the Bank the following?
I hope it needs to stop. Is my point. I don't care who wins. It should be Bray to move on, because John Cena said months ago, to move up in this company, you got to beat me. Basically, is what he said.
Right.
So I don't care who wins. This program has to stop. It sucks. I'm sick of it. If everybody is so into the Wyatts. But all I've seen is them going back and forth with John Cena. That's all that I really remember of the Wyatts. It's getting old. It's time for them to do something else.
There you go. Yeah, I think Bray Wyatt will win this match. I'm not sure. Who knows? It's WWE. They probably will continue this feud. But who knows?
Hopefully, there's so many rematches tomorrow that they all need to come to an end and do something else.
Well, yeah, they always take it too far sometimes now. But
yes,
but that's how it used to be too. Is there was a lot of matches back in the day.
Back in the day, we didn't have 7 hours of wrestling a week and a pay-per-view every month. Are you talking about back in my day or back in your day?
I'm talking back in the day.
Back in the day, like when I was a kid, you had 4 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah.
And you had programs that stretched. But when the guys finally met, you couldn't wait to see it. It wasn't 15 times a month. It was, these son of a bitches are going to have a match, and I can't wait to put my hard-earned money down to see it.
Right.
Nowadays, it's like we've seen the same half of tomorrow's card. We've seen it 3 weeks ago.
Right.
It's too much of the same shit over and over and over again.
Right.
John Cena needs to do something else, and the Wyatts need to move on to something else.
Right.
To have so many pay-per-views and so much TV, you can't have a program go on and on and on, because it gets to the point where it's like, who cares anymore? Who cares? I've seen this match 15 times. It sucks. Tomorrow there needs to be an end to that match, that feud, and let's say Cena beats him. Okay, fine. But I think the way they're going, I think it means that Bray should win.
Do you think Bray Wyatt will to be kind of, because Bray, I don't see him as a full-blown heel. I see him more as like what they like to call a tweener, I guess is the word for it, where he toddles in between. He comes out, gives them, he does, Chicago, I'm here, or the name of the arena, I'm here, whatever he says.
When he blows his lantern out.
Yeah.
See, that's where they're making a mistake. Because if they're supposed to be heels, They shouldn't be appealing. They shouldn't be appeasing the audience.
No.
They shouldn't be appealing to the audience.
No.
They are both. They should be putting. The dynamic that they have is very unusual to me because, and this goes for most heels today. What makes a heel today? Explain to me, Steven, what's a heel in 2014? What makes a heel different from a face?
Honestly, I can't really tell you. Really, I can't. They don't, as much as when we were kids, we hated all those tactics. Now I miss it. Now that I'm an adult, I miss it. I miss all those tactics. They don't do, the foot's on the rope and the referee. They don't use the referee. They don't utilize that part of it anymore.
Exactly.
I
want to hear what you think. Why is Antonio Cesaro a heel? Why is Bad News Barrett a heel? Why are the Wyatts heels? Why? What sets them apart from the Usos or John Cena or
I
Sheamus?
really can't tell you, Mark, honestly.
That's where they're failing. The heels. Here's the thing: the dynamic of heels and faces has changed so much.
Right.
Now look at, you got a guy like Bo. Okay, he comes out here and he talks about believe and you can achieve, and people are like, fuck you. And I think that he's a heel because if he were a face, like John Cena, hustle, loyalty, and respect, it's almost the same. It's almost the same mantra.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't watching NXT, but I was listening to a podcast or something. They were talking about how the NXT fans, which is a smarter crowd, you can obviously tell when you watch NXT, that's a smart crowd. That's like probably TNA's crowd back when TNA was hot. But that's not what I was getting at.
Or Ring of Honor today's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was pretty much, I guess they were turning their back on him and pretty much like chanting backwards that you suck.
Yeah. He comes out there. Now, if you listen to a face today,
yeah,
and they talk, if you got somebody out there who's like this golden boy, take your vitamins and be positive thing, people are going to shit on it. And they've made him a heel, and that's smart. Because he comes out and he's like, believe, be positive, and everybody is like, dude, you're a jerk off, and that makes him a heel. That is smart booking there, because that shit doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
The white hat.
It's bad heat. It's not good heat. It's not good wrestling heat. It's bad. I don't give a shit about you. Get out of the ring.
But here's my point, and this is why Cena. Okay. He's loved by 5-year-olds who are dying of cancer, or inner city youths who think it's cool that he wears baggy jean shorts. But if
George,
yes, Bo Dallas is talking about. He's so oblivious to. Come on. I'm trying to be positive here. Let's be happy. And everybody's like, dude, you suck. And that is heel. He's like I don't get it. Why don't you people love me? Because he got kicked out of NXT when he moved up to Raw. Because I've been watching NXT on the network, and he's like, well, wait, I'm Mr. NXT. Why doesn't everybody love me? And that's funny. But if John Cena's doing it, it's like, oh. We're supposed to like this guy, and they put him in a program with the guys that everybody's supposed to hate because they hate him. But everybody loves the Wyatts. This is an interesting thing. There was a 6-man tag team match, and I think they did it once or twice, with Cena and the Usos against the Wyatts. And this is the funniest example of what I'm trying to say. When the Usos were in there doing their savate kicks and chops on the Wyatts, the crowd was like, yeah! They were loving. They were cheering for the Usos. And once John got tagged in and they were beating on John, they were like, yeah. So they were cheering. It was like the crowd was torn. They were loving when Cena was getting beat up by the Wyatts, and they were loving when the Usos were beating up the Wyatts. It was just too much. And that's prime. But you have Bo, believe in yourself.
So what you're telling me, you're not a believer?
No, I think because he's a heel, it's brilliant. If he were a face, it would be
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yes, but the fact that he's a heel, it makes it it's smart because nobody buys into that horse shit. He's a motivational speaker. Like Tony, what's that guy with the big hands? The Tony.
I don't know. Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his last name.
Or that Christian guy. I don't know. All these motivational speakers they're just annoying. So if you have a guy who's a face doing that stuff, it's gross. If you got a guy who's a heel doing it, I get it. You know what? I think Bo should come out with an earpiece and a little mic, like he's on a stage. You know, the microphone.
Yeah.
Bo should do that. He should come out and say, "Hey, in a suit." I could totally see that in a suit without a shirt underneath, or a T-shirt, and just have that microphone piece, headpiece.
That
would
guy
be.
who's ever pulled that gimmick off was Brother Love. I'm sorry.
But yes, that's why it worked.
No.
He's talking about. You're right, and that's why if you have a guy like John Cena. That's why the crowd boos John. That's a heel-ish thing. And that's what Bo is doing as a heel. That's what WWE. I don't know if they pay attention to their own product, but Bo Dallas is coming out and talking positive thoughts and all this. And
running
John
around
Cena,
the ring and
it works as a heel more so than it does as a face.
That's
okay. Back to this pay-per-view. Go ahead. More.
We have the Evolution versus the Shield elimination 6-man tag.
That's going to be good. Again, it's going to be the match of the night. I think that'll be the match of the night, and maybe the mid-card title matches will be also very good.
Right.
I think that you're going to see. I predict Roman Reigns will stand alone as the sole survivor in that elimination match. Is there some other stipulation to it, like a no disqualification or something?
No holds barred.
Oh, good. They're going to be brawling all over the arena. Last time, Seth Rollins jumped off the cheaper seats section, and well, that was great. Yes, that'll be a good one. I hope they save that for last. That'll be good. Yep.
And you know what? No offense. I think in some matches they need to do a hardcore style. Yes, I know. But they could do the hardcore style in today's environment. They just have to be...
What did you mean, no offense? What are you saying?
Well, some people don't like it because it's, some people just don't like it this day and age,
Here's the difference, okay? If you're talking about ECW.
No. I'm talking just Attitude Era stuff.
But even Paul Heyman, Mr. The inventor and brains of ECW, said it himself.
The evil genius.
Yes, if you do it in every match, it doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that they should do it in every match. I'm saying they should do it in these big-time, this is our #1 match. We want you to freaking watch this match. This is our match that we're basing our pay-per-view off of.
Physicality, slobber knockers, whatever you want to call them, those matches should happen at the end of a major feud. Blood, I'd say bring some blood back. That can happen at the end of a major feud, but not 15 matches into a program.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I just want that, physicality in a match. So yeah, I think. So who do you think who are you gonna go with in this match?
What I'm gonna say? What the 6-man elimination match?
Yeah.
It's gotta definitely be the Shield. I said that. Hold on a second here. It'll be Roman Reigns will be the sole survivor because I heard that they're going to have Roman Reigns against Triple H at SummerSlam. So I think Roman Reigns will stand alone as the sole survivor in that elimination match. So the Shield.
I will also go with the Shield. Do you think this will be the end of this feud? I think it will because we obviously know Batista's leaving. Orton should go on to something else.
I think there will be more at SummerSlam. I think, again, Triple H and Roman Reigns. I think, or at the tables, the ladder match.
Money in the Bank.
Yes. We're going to see, I think, probably 3 individual matches at that with those 6.
There you go.
Like Triple H against Roman Reigns.
Money in the Bank, and I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. It'll be some combination of them one more time.
Yeah.
Because I like it. I think they have good matches together. And they haven't overdone it. They had a few matches together. They're going to got one more together, all 6. And then they're going to have probably 3 individual singles matches at Money in the Bank. Or maybe even some of those guys will be in that ladder match, too. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see who they put in those ladder matches.
I think they're going to do, and then this is going to go to your next question about the pay tomorrow's show, is what is going to happen with the world title, right?
Yeah, right.
I think that he's going to vacate his championship. And I think, from what I've heard and read, that they're going to be there will be 2 ladder matches at Money in the Bank, and one will be for the championship. And the other one will be for the top contendership for the championship.
Okay.
But if they do that, I hope that
you're saying there will be a regular Money in the Bank like they normally have done in the past few years. The regular...
There will be, from what I read, there's going to be one to determine a new champion. And then another ladder match to determine his number 1 contender.
At SummerSlam.
Or whenever he wants to cash it in.
Well, it would be at SummerSlam would be the next month, I believe.
Yeah, but, I mean, they have a year, right?
No, we would have another one after that. We'd have July's special event.
But don't they have a year to cash it in?
Well, yeah. Yeah, if they do the regular traditional Money in the Bank, yeah, they do.
If Daniel Bryan vacates the championship, I personally would rather see a tournament of some sort. They have a tournament to determine a number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. You got to wrestle. You got to win 3 matches. I think that should be used to determine a new champion, not a stupid ladder match. That's how they unified the titles in the first place. I'm just telling you what I read. I think there should be a tournament. I think there should be a tournament with every wrestler in the company to determine a new world champion. If your championship matters, it shouldn't be just by some crazy stipulation match. It should be a tournament.
I think they're going to go with the traditional Money in the Bank match and some kind of other ladder match to determine the number 1 contender, like you said.
No, what I read was that there will be 2 ladder matches.
Okay.
And one ladder match will crown the new champion, and the other ladder match will be for the briefcase.
All right, so
in other words, there'll be a new champion at the end of the month of Money in the Bank, is what they said. But I don't think so. I don't think that's what they should do, but that's what I read that they're going to do. But then again, they change their mind. They change their mind at the drop of a hat half the time. Vince McMahon does.
So what you're saying is that do you think Brie Bella will get fired? So you're saying that he's going to give up the title?
If he holds his championship, then she'll get fired. But if he vacates it, right, then she won't. But I don't...
So if she doesn't get fired, do you think she goes into a feud with Stephanie McMahon and we see Stephanie get back in the ring somehow?
No, I don't think Stephanie's going to wrestle. I think she'll bring some big beastly woman in there. Maybe
I don't know. She's pretty jacked. I don't know if you've seen pictures of her now. She's pretty jacked now. Stephanie is.
I think she'll just bring Karma in there, or someone to squash Brie. She'll do things to mess with Brie, but I don't think she'll wrestle again now.
I don't know. I wouldn't be.
Listen, this is old nonsense. If a wrestler can't defend his championship within 30 days, he has to vacate it. Turning it into a
When the hell
storyline.
did that rule go out? Please tell me that.
I don't know.
Like, I remember specifically when I was a kid, they'd hammer that home. This guy, as soon as that guy like got either a kayfabe injury or he got a real life injury that they brought on and mentioned it on TV, they mentioned that this guy had 30 days. He was coming up. Like, say their TV was like 20 days into the guy's 20 days since he hasn't defended his title last time. They would make a point on their television to say this guy has 10 days left to defend his title or else he will be stripped.
Oh, a while. I guess it's been a while. It's been a long time. I think it's just a matter of the majority of the fans don't care about tradition anymore. Though they don't know it, or the majority of the audience just is too young. Like they think WWE is strange, has a strange dichotomy because they book like their fans are 12, okay? And then they release the network, which has everything from the last 30.
I would say 10.
Right, but then they release their entire library on the network, expecting fans like us who've been watching a long time to subscribe to it. So they obviously know that all of their fans aren't 12 or aren't imbeciles. So it's kind of strange what they're thinking when they're making a show. They're like,
I actually had a question about the network for you. What do you think about the low numbers that they've been coming out with since they've debuted the WWE Network? They thought they were going to be a lot more higher. I guess they said they wanted like 700,000 or something like that subscribers by now.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. And I can tell you this because of my workplace. Because I talked to a few people at work who are wrestling fans. And I had to tell them, I had to explain to them how great the network is.
Yeah.
And they're on the fence, like one of my friends, I don't know, it seems like commitment, and I don't know. And then I finally talked him into it. I'm explaining that he just spent as much on WrestleMania 30 as he would have on 6 months of the network. Okay?
Yeah, people don't get it. I don't get it. You know,
he didn't either. And once he finally gave in and he finally agreed to try it, he called me and said, I had no idea how great this was going to be. It didn't matter what I said. He had to see it for himself. And that's exactly what it is.
My philosophy on this is somebody is either ignorant to what the WWE Network it is, or they just don't care enough to do it.
They, I think, would rather wait. If they're going to drop any money on wrestling, they'd rather just, well, I only care to see WrestleMania, so I'm only going to spend this once. I don't want a commitment. I think, and he also thought it was part of his cable bill, and I had to explain it's not a cable bill thing. It's not. It is its own entity through a website, and I had to break it down for him, and he just wasn't grasping it. When he finally caved, because I was pumping the NXT takeover, I'm like, man, you got to see this. And you got to see Legends of Wrestling, and you got to see Legends House, and you got to see
I love
Clash of the Champions. So much of it, and I kept saying it, kept saying it, and when he finally tuned in, he finally ordered it. He was like, "Wow!" I think that the fans, I think they just don't understand what it is and how it. I think a lot of people also think that it is strictly streaming, which is. I only can watch what they are playing live right now. Right. Whereas you can go into the vault and watch whatever you want, whenever you want. I think that's a feature on the network that they need to tell the fans. Because myself, I thought at first, and this kept me from subscribing to it for about a week or two, because I didn't subscribe right away. I was afraid.
No, I didn't. I waited. I think I waited. I don't know, 10 days.
Yeah, I subscribed like the first week of March or something.
Yeah.
Well, it was the 9th because I get billed every 9th of the month.
Yeah.
So it was the 9th.
Yeah, we get billed Actually, when did it get launched? It got launched on the 14th, I believe, or something.
February 24th was the first.
24th.
It was the day after Elimination Chamber was the first day. But March 9th, I subscribed, and I remember thinking that it was only like a constant streaming, and you're only going to get to watch what they choose to play then. But then I realized there's an entire library. It's like Netflix of wrestling, that you can watch whatever you want, whenever you want, as many times as you want. And when I realized that, I was like, wow, that's fantastic. I'm going to step away for one moment, okay?
All right.
Did you send an invitation to the others?
I did. They didn't. They never got back to me on anything.
That's okay. It's their loss. But what I'm saying is, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, okay, at 11:01 tomorrow night, if you missed Payback, you can now watch it whenever you want. If you want to see Clash of the Champions 7, you can watch that.
I've yet to watch any of the Clash of the Champions. I got to get to that.
I cannot tell you enough, and this is from an old school fan like me. If you like pure wrestling, vintage NWA, vintage early WCW, real WCW, that it was the show. When I was a kid, I remember, because it was usually on in the middle of the week, and I was always excited to see that, because again, I told you earlier that I really appreciated the NWA and the pure wrestling. So when it came to the Clash of the Champions, it was a special. It was like Saturday night's main event in the middle of the week at 8 o'clock. Usually they did them about 6 times a year, and I remember being so thrilled for that. And I thought, boy, this is the stuff. This is good stuff. As a kid, it started when I was about 13 or 14, and I remember thinking, boy, this is great stuff, and I really always enjoyed it. And now to have the whole library of them, especially the first 22 of them, they were just phenomenal, because they always led. They were always a prelude to the pay-per-views coming up. So it always made it feel like a big deal, like you're getting this special show with great matches. Because at the time, keep in mind, at the time you didn't have a 2-hour show every week which had main event matches on it. You had the weekend stuff where, a couple of the stars would be beating the crap out of some jobbers. The Clash of the Champions brought you a main event caliber card for free, and you were like, at least I was like, man, this is just fantastic. This is great. There's championship title matches, which you didn't get every single week like we do now. So at the time, would something like that matter now? No, it would just be more of what we see every week. But at the time, it meant a lot.
Right.
Because you didn't get main event matches like that.
Right. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember watching a few of these on WTBS over at my grandparents', or I might have watched some of them when I got cable eventually.
Where did you live that you didn't have cable access, or was it just a choice that your family had made?
I did not get cable access, actually, because when cable came up my way, I actually had to have satellite, first, because that was the first thing that was offered up in my area in New Hampshire.
Was that the stick? You were living in the sticks?
I live in the sticks. I live in a small town. It's called Loudon, New Hampshire. I don't know if you watch NASCAR at all.
Nah.
No. We have a racetrack here that they race NASCAR.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I've never been to the New England states. It's pretty, from all accounts, it's really beautiful, though.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Let me see here what I got next on the agenda. Okay, I like to call this segment Behind the Curtain. What I did here, Mark, is I went onto a couple wrestling websites and looked up different articles and read a few, and I have a few of those. Actually, one I already did, so I'll get rid of that one. Ric Flair making his possible return to the WWE. What do you think about the Nature Boy Ric Flair returning to WWE?
I think it's kind of weird because that was the excuse they used to fire Jim Ross.
Yeah,
was Ric Flair's being too out there at that press conference they had.
Right.
But whatever. Jim's happy. He's content. I think if he comes back, it would have to be in some sort of like he was on NXT TakeOver. He was in his daughter's corner for the women's title match. Now that was, hey, look at us. We're mirroring each other here. Look at that.
You're scratching your head. I'm scratching my neck.
Right. Flair, if he comes back, it's going to have to be in some sort of a guiding light, a leadership role, like managing Evolution, or finding a couple of wrestlers, younger guys, and giving them a
well, he could also, if they go in the direction of Triple H and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, maybe since he came back and said that he was going to align himself with the Shield, why not have him maybe in the corner of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins?
Yeah, that was funny. I was surprised. I think that was the intention, was for us to be surprised, but I was surprised that he had said that the Shield were where it's at today. That was kind of neat, because I think everybody expected him to say that Evolution, of course, were the guys. I mean, if he can come in, since they're doing so much with original programming on the network, like pre-shows, they do one before Raw, and then they do an after show, and then, same thing with SmackDown and the specials. He could be like exclusively on that, like Booker T does, something like that, analyzing a show or managing somebody. It's fine, I know he needs a payday. He said he spent the money as fast as he made it. Good for him, Nature Boy Rick. He had a good time.
Ooh, Slick Rick.
Yep, but he managed his daughter. It was pretty cool. He was all excited, and he flipped his coat. Him and her cried, and it was pretty nice. It was pretty significant for the both of them. It was nice. But Rick, he'll be around. He'll be around forever.
Yeah, he'll be around till he dies.
Mm.
He will. He'll be one of the guys that survived till he dies.
Yep, he'll be around.
Yep. Maybe, have you heard or read anything about a possible return of Chris Jericho?
Again, I think it's the same with, like RVD. I think if they brought Chris back, I think he could be a guy who puts others over.
Right.
I think that he's happy with his band. He's happy with Fozzy. He's happy rocking out.
Doing his podcast.
Yeah, I think they should try something like that with CM Punk too. But I think he's totally happy being gone from it, and I think he's happy having his own life. I mean,
he's hanging out with Bill Murray and
who the hell wouldn't want to be? Who the hell wouldn't want to be a
He's watching hockey. He's rooting on his Blackhawks.
He's a 35-year-old retired millionaire. Yeah. That is the ultimate that anybody would want. Jericho, I think Jericho's comfortable. I think he likes to have the opportunity to go out and tour with his band and do his thing and have his podcast. But if he comes back, he should be like RVD. He should put some guys over, and I think he'd do it too.
Do you listen to his podcast by any chance?
No, I listen to so many podcasts, and I've never heard Jericho's. I have podcast one on my iPod. I listen to Stone Cold and Jim Ross. I have not heard Jericho's, and I know I've heard it's great. And now Goldberg.
Jericho just interviewed Bully Ray, and they were talking about how he came back against Fandango at WrestleMania 29, and how he really didn't want to do that match, but Vince kind of talked him into doing it. How Vince basically talked him into doing it was giving him a few more zeros on that paycheck.
That's all it takes.
That's what he said. He admitted it. He said, straight up, I friggin' know the only reason I did it was he gave me a few more zeros on my paycheck.
It's all it would take for me. It's a fucking wrestling match, It's WrestleMania. I don't give a shit. If you're at WrestleMania,
right,
and you're making serious money, and you're going to lose. He wasn't even a main event guy at the time. I mean, if you are in the main scheme of things, it's a job is a job, but there may be sometimes when, losing now for a big lump sum would harm you later and cost you more money down the line, and maybe you would second guess it. But if it's just to put someone else over and you've already done your thing and you're already a star and you're like Teflon, who cares?
Right. Vince McMahon losing $360 billion, what was it, $1 million, something like that knocked him out of being a billionaire.
Okay, here is what I had tried to explain to a lot of people in the last 2 weeks. Everybody says, well, it's the network, it's the network, it's the network, and it was not because of the network entirely.
I don't think it was entirely because of the network.
That was some of it, but it was not entire. The majority of that money and the reason why their stock prices plummeted is because their asking price for their renegotiation of their cable contract was entirely different than it was 5 or 6 years ago. They were offered and were paid a hell of a lot less money to be with NBC Universal, which is USA Network and the Sci-Fi Channel. 5 or 6 years ago, they were given a heck of a lot more money than they were this time, and that was why. So the network had as little to do with that as possible. That they didn't make as much money going in with the network out of the gate as they expected. Fine, but I think as time rolls on and word of mouth spreads from people who do own it or do subscribe to it, new fans will also subscribe and they'll be fine. You're talking about $10 a month for even if they have over half a million people, that's a lot of money.
That's what I don't get about, back to our point earlier about, people getting the network. I don't get it. People literally, some people go out there, and they could be wrestling fans. People go out there and spend $10 on a cup of coffee in the morning, all right? So $10 in the scheme of things is not that expensive.
Because they don't know how good it is. I explained it to you earlier. A friend of mine from work he was on the fence about the network and he didn't know. Once he ordered it, I talked to him that night. He ordered it,
yeah,
and he was like, "Man," and the next day at work, he said, "Man, I'm exhausted because I was up all night going through the library." He said, "I couldn't choose what to watch next." He said, "I had no idea how good this actually was, and I think that's the problem. All they do is tout how much." What are the highest rated shows on the network of the week? I don't think the fans really get what it is. They don't advertise it well. They don't advertise what it is. I don't think they realize that they can watch whatever they want. It's the Netflix of wrestling.
I honestly think WWE should put out somehow on the website or somehow on the WWE network, maybe, what people are watching currently on the network, what the highest rating.
They do it every week, but they do that. Or they have the top 10 shows that have been watched. How they determine that, I have no idea. But what I
Well,
think
no
they should.
offense. I mean, no offense. Sometimes in a 3-hour Raw, I miss little things like that. Sorry.
Oh no, okay, yeah. They show the top 10 watched shows on the network of the week. I don't know how
I
they
think I've
determine it.
seen that, but I just don't. Sometimes I just forget about it because it's 3 hours. Some things are forgettable in those 3 hours.
Yeah, it is. It's way long. But I think they had a couple of times where they had a week free membership to try to get people on board. I don't think that people. I think people realize, oh, it's going to jack up my cable bill. It's going to be this or that. From all accounts of all the wrestling fans at my workplace, when I tell them I have of all the fellow fans at work, there's maybe 2 or 3 others who do subscribe, and the others who do not just don't know what it is, because they're always asking. They ask the questions like, "Well, what about this and this?" I think they just need to just see it. Once you see it, then you're like, "Holy crap!" I remember my reaction when I first subscribed and I hooked it up to my PlayStation and I started it. I was like, "Whoa." This is for wrestling fans. If you're a wrestling fan, the network's for you. And I just don't think that they talk about that app. They should be plugging the network like they do that stupid app. Because you actually need the app on your device to play the network.
Right.
If you do it through other than your computer, if you do it through your PlayStation, you have to get the app.
I watched through my laptop. That's what I watched.
Well, I did for about a month, and then I said, I need to see this on my flat screen, and I did, and it's been.
Well, I see it on my flat screen. I just hook it up through HDMI cable.
Well, I eventually just hooked it up to my through my PlayStation, and actually it plays better through that than it did through my laptop for some reason. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I do not have a PlayStation.
Well, I didn't. I bought it. I bought a PlayStation for that and Rocksmith.
There you go. You bought it for what? Rocksmith?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
It's the game where you actually learn guitar chords. It's not like guitar. What's that game?
Guitar Hero.
It's not like playing a game of Simon. You actually have to play the guitar, and I have a guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
Here, hold on.
Okay, gotcha. See ya. I see that.
What's that?
I was saying that I see that. That's pretty cool
Yes.
guitar, yeah. Hey,
See-
Mark, we got a viewer up in this bitch, as Stone
Oh.
Cold would say.
We have a viewer. I wonder
We
who.
got one viewer, yes.
Somebody's actually
Getting
watching
views
this.
up in this bitch.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Who are you? Expose
who are-
yourself.
I actually know who it is. He sent me a message on Twitter. It is Heel Steven on Twitter.
Heel, Steven?
Yes, Heel Steven, yes.
So it's the
Right.
evil version of you.
Yes. He is he's a good friend of mine. We go back and forth sometimes. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what else do you have? What else is going on? What else do you have for me? I'll answer whatever questions you have. I don't care.
What do you think about Samoa Joe returning to TNA?
Well, I'm a TNA fan, and I think that before the year is over, I think he will be the TNA champion, and I think he should be the TNA champion. I have no problem with Eric Young, and I think it's nice that he's got the championship, but Samoa Joe brings a legitimacy to that company as far as his...
I mean, if Eric Young wasn't made such a joke over the years, he'd be a believable champion. I wouldn't mind him being a champion. But it's like TNA just gave it to him the week after Daniel Bryan got his title on WWE. I hate to say that, but they did. They gave it to him right after.
What does that have? What is your point?
I'm not trying to compare them to. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm just saying that the week after they gave the title to.
Because you have a guy who's smaller with a beard, that automatically translates to a copying of WWE.
I think so. Yes.
So then, do you think a faction of 3 guys dominating the company is a copy?
I don't.
Okay. No, I know. There's some because that's like what they're doing with MVP and Bobby Lashley and Kenny King. It's kind of like evolution too. But look, wrestling copies itself all the time. Okay, people need to realize. You know, you had Abyss came back. You had Abyss came back as old school Abyss, okay, and then Kane came back as old school Kane. So why don't people point that out? I mean, WWE blatantly copied that.
There you go. I totally agree with you on that.
So, but nobody on the IWC is screaming that WWE copied Kane or WWE copied TNA because they did. And then it was like Abyss reached his hand through the ring and grabbed Samoa Joe and pulled him down. And then it was like 2 weeks later that Kane reached his hand through the ring and grabbed Brie Bella. And nobody screamed that.
I see that shit all the time. So I
And then
I not mention it, but I see it all the time. So
then there was another storyline where AJ Styles was accused of this was a WWE first. No, TNA.
TNA first.
Yes, AJ Styles was accused of having an affair with I don't even remember the girl's name. What was that girl? Do you remember that?
Are you talking about AJ Styles?
Yes, AJ Styles.
What was her name? Yes, I can't remember her name.
He had sex with her, but then also he was having an affair with Dixie too, or something.
Yeah. In a hotel.
Yeah.
Carter came in.
They had the pictures in the hotel and all, and then it was like 2 weeks later, and then AJ Lee was leaving John Cena's hotel.
Yeah.
And so I mean they do the same thing too, but nobody ever cries foul when WWE does it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
There are times that both companies will copy the other. And I don't care what anybody says. TNA guys are watching Raw, and WWE guys are watching Impact. And you know it.
Yeah.
But why will people
Claire
not...
something. It was Claire something.
Claire. You're right. Claire Lynch?
Claire Lynch, yes.
Yeah. But why will people not stand up and shout when WWE copies TNA? Because they do too. They do it. I don't care. TNA could have recorded their shit 2 months ago. When it airs, WWE will be like, they'll do something similar, and you know they do. It's
they can do it better.
But it's still copying is copying.
Right.
They don't. But even the
it's the only business that can get away with plagiarism.
But why will they only bitch when TNA copies WWE? Why don't they bitch when WWE copies TNA? Yeah. And it can happen in the same fucking month, and they just don't say shit. Why?
I don't know.
The IWC, I swear to you, and one of my friends at work who is a wrestling fan is an IWC guy. I say to him, he bitched, and I'll never forget it, because he bitched for about 3 weeks that Daniel Bryan didn't win the Royal Rumble. And he was like, God damn it. Oh, why not? And now, when Daniel Bryan won the title at WrestleMania, he beat everybody. Daniel Bryan won the title. The same guy was like, you know what? I'm so sick of Daniel Bryan. I said, are you kidding me? I said, I wish I could play back your own conversation we had 4 months ago. He was beside himself with fury when Daniel Bryan didn't win the Rumble. I said, first of all, they never said Bryan was in the Rumble. He's like, yeah, but he's being held back. He won the title. He kicked everybody's ass, and he's like, I gotta tell you, I'm sick of Daniel Bryan. Son of a bitch. I said, you're never going to be happy. He is screaming for CM Punk to return. I said, you know as well as I do, if CM Punk returns tomorrow at Payback, I told him this today, I said, in 2 weeks you're going to be bitching about how you're sick of Punk. He said, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't get that. I don't get the mentality. Because
I have longed to forgive up trying to figure out YWC logic, IWC logic.
They just, I swear, they just love to hear themselves bitch.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
He admitted, he's an IWC guy, and he admits, he said, I know. He said, I've contradicted myself many times. I was like, and I said, seriously? He's very, I said, if CM Punk returns tomorrow and like gives a GTS to Daniel Bryan or whatever and pins him and wins the title, I said, in 2 weeks you'll hate him. He said, less than that. I'll hate him Monday night. I said, what are you bitching about? He had no answer.
So what did you think of Rock last night, the Monday night? The go-home show to Payback.
What, Evolution put Roman Reigns
what did you think about overall Monday Night Raw? It was not well liked by the IWC, YWC community.
The IWC, they bitch when there's too much wrestling, and they bitch when there's no wrestling. They bitch. They bitch.
Bitch. They just bitch.
I hate everything until they don't give me what I want, and then I hate that too. I don't know. I don't get it. But it was. I don't even remember what happened on Raw. Refresh me. I don't recall. I don't even know if I watched it. Was it from England?
No, that was the week before.
I'll tell you what. I don't think I've paid it. Here's the thing. I DVR Raw every week. I DVR Raw and I DVR TNA, and I will zip past the commercials and I will zip past the things I don't care about. And I honestly don't remember Raw for like the last 2 weeks. I know that Payback's tomorrow. I know. Were they going to beat up the King? I remember that. Wyatt's were going to beat up Jerry. And
then JBL saved him.
Yeah, they beat him up to. Was that this week?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw. I did. On the outside, I remember that, and that's pretty much. That's honestly all I remember from this week. And then Roman Reigns getting the powerbomb through the table. I don't recall much about Raw, and that's sad because I can tell you a Raw from like 15 years ago that every. That's
why Raw needs to be 2 hours.
You think the 3 hours is a bit much? Do you think that's?
I think that's what's killing it. That's what I really do. It was 2 hours. It was just, sometimes it would go a little over, and it was just enough without being too repetitive.
Well, let me tell you something, okay? When I watched TakeOver on Thursday, it was maybe an hour and 40 minutes or something. Okay? When it ended, I was craving, like, come on, 20 more minutes. It was so good. I don't feel that way about Raw. I'm not like, man, I wish there was more of this. Because by the end of it, I'm like, man, I'm pretty white because I'm watching it. I'm watching it and I'm tweeting with people. I'm tweeting with Wade Keller and Torch. I'm tweeting with JR. I'm tweeting with Brian DiBiase. I'm tweeting. I'm watching it, and I'm like, Fandango is arguing with some girl, and sometimes it's maddening. There's not much that really hooks me. Sometimes there'll be maybe about 2 or 3 good wrestling matches, and then there's some schmoz ending that sucks, and it's promotion, and it's too much.
Right.
It's just too. You're right. It's too long. Yeah. If they cinched it up, actually, I'll tell you what I think, and a lot of people disagree with this, and I don't give a shit. But I think that because NXT runs like its own entity, they barely mention WWE. And that is so delightful to me.
Right.
I think that they should bring back the split rosters.
Yeah.
And I think they should do a draft, and I think they should keep it. I think they should keep SmackDown like its own show. And they should keep Raw like its own show. And they should take those 2 gaudy-ass belts and put one on here and one on here instead of somebody walking around with 2 titles like a Mexican boxer. They should have one championship on Raw and one on SmackDown. They should take an Intercontinental title and put it on one, and the U.S. title and put it on the other.
I might be adding another person into our conversation.
Why? Is my conversation boring?
No.
But do you think...
I'm not sure if he's going to join, but he might. So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay. Do you think that they should split Raw and SmackDown and have only some people on Raw and on some people on SmackDown?
No, I think they should. I don't think they should do that.
You don't like the split rosters?
No. It's not that I don't like it. I just don't know if they have the full-blown good roster enough to do that.
Oh, of course they do. Of course they do. And they need to focus on maybe the... I think, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe they don't have as many people as they did in 2001 or 2002 or whatever. But what I would like to see in wrestling, in WWE, I would like to see a top 10 list.
Yeah.
Really? What did I say? What I said?
Sorry, I was looking at something else.
I said, okay, maybe you're right. They don't have as many people enough to have two full rosters on two separate shows. But what I would like to see them do in WWE is have a top 10 list.
Yeah. Top 10 list?
You know what you think?
Like a real top 10 list?
Like here are your top 10 of the week based on losses and wins, based on whatever. Just
okay, is this going to be real, or is this going to be like just some kayfabe bullshit by WWE?
I mean, I think it should be based on wins and losses.
Yeah.
Like a top 10. Like to determine, okay, instead of just, this is a number one contenders match, and let's throw two guys in there and wrestle for it. They should actually have a top 10. Are you saying
like a point system? Like they do in like...
All right. Yeah. They can do it that way.
All right.
Have you watched wrestling before the year 2000?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to that, right?
Yes.
So they used to have in WCW/NWA, they used to have a top 10. And yes, of course it was kayfabe. Of course it was not legitimate, but it was based on like, okay, Cesaro is number because of his championship is the Intercontinental, or like he had a big victory this week. He bumps up into the top 10. Or now Sheamus is the U.S. champion. He's number 1 or number 2, or the Intercontinental champion is number 2, whatever. And then somebody like Bray Wyatt has had a succession of victories. He should be number 3, like that kind of thing.
He's moving up in the list.
Yes, I think they should do that. Yes, I do.
I got what you're saying. I like what you're putting down. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. You know, it'd be a different. You know, I don't remember what you're saying. How WCW did that. I don't quite remember that.
They used to do it, and they would say, by virtue of this, he had a major win this week. He mops up into the thing, and it made people talk about, I want wrestling to seem more real. I want wrestling to seem more realistic. You watch UFC or boxing or whatever, even football or baseball. Every win means something. You move up. You either move up or you move out. So if you win, you move up. And I think that if you want wrestling to seem and feel more real, and more realistic, and more legitimate, and more believable, they should have where, you know, your wins and losses mean something.
Mm.
Would it not be an interesting? I mean, they even do it on their fucking website. They have a hot 25 or top 25 thing. Like even if somebody did something like,
they don't utilize it, right? Yeah, but who the hell goes? Honestly, when was the last time you went to the actual website? I don't usually use the website too much.
I don't. But what I'm saying is, it's the same principle. They should use it to determine their cards.
Right.
Like, they just throw somebody into a title match, or just throw somebody into we're just going to have the Money in the Bank.
Right.
It should be, well, okay. Like, they had that tournament for the Intercontinental title. They had a Battle Royal. Just like, let's just throw somebody in there. No, it should be, so-and-so's been on a winning streak lately. He moves up. So-and-so's been on a shit heel turn. He's been doing terribly. He's been losing. He's been getting his butt kicked. He moves down. Or whatever. I think they should have at least maybe, or even have like a top 5 rankings in each division. Like, for tag team, or for the women, or for the world's title, or something. I think I would like to see that. If I was in charge of a company, or if I was writing for a show, I would have them do some sort of a rank system.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's cool.
Would you like to see that? Would you think that would be a unique twist for WWE for 2014?
Yeah, if it was done right.
Well, how would it be? What do you suggest? What would you suggest? Like I said, like if they just like right off a match, like the other night, last night, Wyatt pinned Jey Uso in that last man standing match. So Jey Uso's ranking, like, he goes down a notch or two because he just got beat, but Wyatt just pinned one of the half of the tag team champions. So he should
How many points would you get for, like, a win? Like, say, all right, Bray Wyatt. Like, just say if this was implemented tomorrow, if Bray Wyatt goes on to beat John Cena, how many points would he get for that?
Well, it doesn't even have to be points. It would be like you rank, you're ranking. Like they could even start it out like if they decided, if I got the job as head writer of WWE,
okay,
I would want to have a top 10, like I just said. So what I would do, and this is how I would start it, and it's only fair. I would take probably the top 20, who I think are the top 20 guys right now, and I would have an over-the-top rope battle royal. I know this sounds silly, but stick with me. The last 10 guys, this would start it. This would be a start, so nobody could complain or whatever. And I know, of course, it's obviously fake, whatever.
Right.
But I would have the final 10's eliminations determine their position in that top 10.
Okay.
Okay, so then afterward, following that battle royal, so you have your top 10. The guy who won the battle royal is number 1.
Okay, so how often would you do this battle royal type thing?
Battle royal would only happen once.
Once.
Because from then on, each time, okay, let's say the guy who won the battle royal loses a one-on-one match next week. He drops down a rank. He drops down to 2 to the guy that just pinned him.
Right.
And then the guy, you see what I'm saying? Like, so each win, if you win, you move up a number. If you lose, you go down a number.
Okay.
And how many sports? All the sports. Don't sports have things like this?
Yes, they have different scoring systems.
So it would be, if you win, you move up. If you lose, you're out. You're down. You go down.
Right.
And then, like, okay, like the guy at the number 1 of that list gets a shot at the U.S. or Intercontinental Championship. Or they could even do like a cash-in deal, like they do at Impact. Like the X Division champion can cash in his X Division championship for a world. What I'm saying, my only point of saying all this is that wins and losses should matter. It should mean something. If you win a match, you move up. If you lose, you move down.
You're right. Okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah, I got what you're putting down.
Do you agree with it?
Yeah, I agree. If it's done right, like, I see where you're saying. A point system would probably kind of work. It's like you said, it's a different way to do it in 2014. I think they need to shake things up somehow in 2014 because, yes, TNA's out there, but not a lot of people know about TNA.
See, I love the round robin thing they have for Bound for Glory, the Bound for Glory series.
Yes,
Because
yes,
it's like it's a 12 guys, but it's like, okay, so and so is the number one contender. Why? So and so is what they do is they'll take 12 guys and they'll each wrestle each other once. A pin is worth 10 points or 7 points, and a tap out is worth 10, and a count out is worth this.
goes for 3 months worth of television.
It's great.
3 months of television right there for TNA.
You got it. You got it. If it's brilliant, I think it's beautiful. I love it. I think that wrestling should be like that all year. That's just to me. I'm old school. I'm not like Ryan. Like Ryan thinks that wrestling should be comedy and whatever, and then add wrestling to that. But,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's room for comedy, yes. There's room for, as you would say, fluff here and there. But sometimes they take it too far.
he agrees. He loves Vince Russo. He thinks Vince Russo is a genius, and that's Ryan DiBiase's hero is Vince Russo. Whatever. To each his own.
Yeah. Not that I think we both know what we feel on the Vince Russo thing.
I have no problem with Vince Russo. I think Vince Russo is fine as long as he has a filter. If he's going to run a show.
Viewer now. Nobody's viewing us now, so.
No, our viewer lost. He got bored.
Yeah.
But
he came back.
I don't hate Vince Russo. I just think he needs a place where the buck stops as far as his ideas.
Yeah.
But no, I think if you have, all these championships in WWE, there should be some sort of a thing where, what is this?
What's that?
What was that? That beep or bong?
Oh, that was my phone going off.
If they had a system where wins matter, losses matter, and it affects your ranking for the titles, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. What do you think about Dixie Carter as a professional wrestling promoter?
No, but I want to go back to what I was saying. What do you think of that? How do you say if they do it right? What is your idea of doing that concept I have? What would be your idea of doing it right? Well,
I think it needs to have some, obviously needs to be kayfabed a little bit, but I think.
Well, of course it's kayfabe. Of course it's not legitimate. I'm saying if you're going to have a 3-hour show with 9 or 10 wrestling matches, if there's no significance to who wins and who loses, then who gives a shit?
Right.
If they put it in, okay, we had 9 matches on Raw tonight, and Cesaro won, so he moves up, and I don't know. Bray Wyatt lost, so he moves down. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they have a bunch of matches for 3 hours on Raw, it should mean something.
Right.
It's just throwing shit together, just like tossing a salad. What is? Just throw it. Got some croutons and some tomatoes in here. It should have, like, if you have on Raw, there was the other night. I don't know the last time I watched it. I counted. There were like 10 wrestling matches in 3 hours.
Yeah.
If there's no significance to the, are you hearing me here?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
If there's no cadence or significance or meaning to those matches, to the.
Oh, I totally hear you. There's got to be some kind of, this match.
If you have
to watch this match.
If you have 3 hours of Raw every Monday with like 8 or 9, or that was 10 wrestling matches they had in 3 hours. Okay, that's fine. But okay, Bray Wyatt beat fucking Cesaro and Barrett pinned Sheamus. I mean, okay, then what? Like, it should mean something.
I agree.
Somebody should move up, and the loser moves down. It should It should mean something. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. There's no structure. There should be something to make it seem the slightest bit legitimate.
Freaking thing keeps going off. He's still trying to get in. I don't know how to friggin' invite him.
Who?
This guy.
It's like you did to me. Same.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do it while we're in the thing.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I'm not sure.
But to have all these matches, what do those matches mean? What do those matches mean?
They don't mean anything right now.
That's what I'm saying. If there was some, okay, if I win tonight, I'm gonna be, I'll remain in the top 10. If I lose, I'm out. And if you're, you see what I'm saying? Like there should be some meaning to them.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So, what do you think about Dixie Carter as a wrestling promoter in today's 2014?
You really think this idea sucks?
I guess I'm.
Go ahead.
I really don't get it, honestly.
Why?
I'm sorry. Maybe
What
I'm
don't you get?
tired, God.
You keep asking me about Dixie Carter. Who gives a shit about Dixie Carter? What don't you get? I want to make it clear to you. What don't you understand?
I don't know. I just don't get how you get to it. I don't.
Okay. You know how every once in a while they'll say, well, so-and-so's been on a real winning streak lately. Okay, for example, like Big E. Big E has been losing like crazy. There should be some top 10 of wins and losses.
Okay, I got you now. All right, yeah. A top 10.
That's really...
I don't know. No.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you don't understand.
I don't know. I can't think straight right now.
What's wrong with you?
I'm just tired, man.
Okay. You want to wrap up?
No. That's not it. I'm too tired to think about this.
I just think that if you have a 3-hour Raw with 9 wrestling matches on it, okay,
Right.
Every Monday Night Raw should lead to their pay-per-view or their special.
Okay, maybe what I'm getting is who determines this?
Who makes the matches in the first place? The fucking writers, Triple H, whatever, whoever.
Whoever the booker is. The
Yes,
quote-unquote.
but they could do it on. They could do Triple H. I'm gonna start a top 10, and if you win, you move up, and if you lose, you're out. If you
Right,
move
they
down.
have to have that public figure. Whoever the frig's doing it back, we don't
right.
give a shit. They have to have that public person doing it.
Yes, or have a graphic on the screen of,
right.
Well, Sheamus won his match tonight, so he bumps up a point or he bumps up a notch. Right. He defeated
Sheamus versus Wade Barrett, non-title match. With a time limit, and if you, somehow win in a certain time period, you get
no time. Okay. How many matches would you say you see in an average Monday Night Raw?
At least 7, 8, sometimes 9.
So everybody who wins would have some. They will either, if they're already in the top 10, they will move up. If you lost and you're in the top 10, you move down. Right. If you weren't in the top 10 before and you beat somebody, you moved into it. Whatever. Like, my only point is that all of these matches should have some meaning, should have some significance.
Yes, I get that. I agree with that.
So, start off with, like everybody has a clean slate. Let's start with 10 matches on Raw this week, and or that Battle Royal concept I had, where the last 10 guys, by virtue of elimination, determines the last guy eliminated is the number 1 guy. He won. He's number 1 on the ranks. Right. So after that week, the top 10 guys that were the last 10 in that Battle Royal will have matches.
Right.
If they win, they move up. If they lose, they move down. Like keeping
the number one person on this list gets the title match at the pay-per-view?
Yes. Or like the championship of his choosing, if he wants to go after the U.S. Yeah. Actually, what they could do is have like either the U.S. or the Intercontinental Champion at the next pay-per-view go for the world title match, and vacate his championship. Because I'm going to go for the world title, so therefore I'm going to vacate my Intercontinental title, or I'm going to vacate my U.S. title by going for the world title. If I win, I'm the champ. If I lose, fuck me, I'm out. Or I go down to number 2 or number 3 or whatever. Like each win, each match,
if I lose, I screw myself.
You got it. I think that to make this legit, it should be you win, you move up, you lose, you move out. Move down, whatever.
And if you go so far down, you get knocked out of the top 10. Okay.
Yes. And every time you have a match, whether it's at SmackDown or Raw or Superstars or Main Event or on the road or wherever, they could keep record of it. Like, hey, wow, Bray Wyatt won like 3 big matches. He bumps up to the number 3 spot or whatever. Like something like that. Anything like that.
Right, Bray Wyatt has won 15 matches in a row.
He has earned himself. You understand?
Right.
Would that be a good idea?
Yeah. I like it.
I think they should do it. I really do. And I think fans would be interested in that.
Who knows what today's fans are interested in?
Maybe the IWC would hate it. Who knows?
If anybody comes up with an idea, logically the IWC is going to hate you. So
yes,
they're going to say, "Oh, you're not a booker. You think you're a booker."
We could have Steve Austin versus CM Punk in a all weapons legal street fight for the world title in a 60-minute Broadway, and they'd bitch.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So you were asking me about Dixie Carter. What about Dixie Carter?
I can't stand Dixie Carter. I think she should go the hell away.
You asked me, what about her? You asked.
I just don't like her. I don't know. I just think she's too much.
But you asked me something specifically about her. What about her? What are you asking me?
Oh, what do you think about her management style? Whether she's in charge backstage or maybe just what you see on television?
I think she's really inexperienced, and I think she's what do they call it, a money mark. Like, she's got money, she's in charge of things, and she's excited to be a part of the product, and I think she shouldn't be part of the product. Maybe every once in a while, if anything, she should come out and say something like, we're going to have this major championship match, or there for a contract signing, or talking about a new inductee into their Hall of Fame or something like that. But as far as being on TV every single week, I think she's a terrible actor. First of all, I think wrestling shouldn't be a series of piss-poor acted vignettes or shitty comedy. And I think the TNA, and they were always the wrestling show. And then I used to, 2 years ago, I had a 6-foot hard-on with a cheeseburger on the end of it for TNA because they were all about wrestling. And now it's like WWE has more wrestling in a 3-hour show than they do in their 2-hour show. TNA has become, AC3 and Rockstar Spud hunting for Willow in the woods. That's just so stupid to me. I think that's Vince Russo stupid stuff. I hate it. And I think Dixie Carter coming out there, darling, and her acting just sucks. And I think that it's just garbage. And they're about to lose their television. And they have.
When did they lose their television? When is that?
They have some painted-faced jerk-off punching balloons in the ring. That's that. Give me a
menagerie you're talking about.
Yeah, that's just so ridiculous. That's an insult to my intelligence.
Yeah.
That is that. Like I told you before we started this show tonight, I was watching Music City Showdown and Clash 6 and Chi-Town Rumble. Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat put on a clinic.
There you go, Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
And you're supposed to tell me that if I'm going to watch some fucking asshole punching and beating up balloons in the ring, That
And you know what else is another assault to my intelligence? I do not like the bromance. I'm sorry, I can't stand them.
well, I'll tell you what about the bromance. And this goes back to what I was saying about what differentiates a heel from a face.
Okay.
Those guys are, and I'll tell you, Jesse Goddard follows me on Twitter, and I think that's hilarious. I don't know why, but he does. But they are good heels because they are
Well, I
annoying.
met Robbie E, and I just didn't have a good.
No, I know, but for you're talking about heels, they're annoying. They are not likable, and they cheat.
Yeah.
It's a heel. They're heels.
Right.
They're what heels should be. They should be hated. You should want to see somebody beat the shit out of them, and I do want to see somebody beat the shit out of them. They're doing their jobs. They're heels.
Exactly. Okay, I get you. Yeah.
They're annoying. Exactly. They're doing their job. You hate them. Jersey jerk-offs. You're supposed to hate them. They're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
The Wyatts.
And you see that stick in front of you, like 5 feet in front of you. I was at ringside when he was at an indie show, and it's just, I hated him. I friggin' wanted to jump the railing and punch him.
Exactly. He's working. He's working.
Yeah.
WWE has Bad News Barrett, who I like him a lot. I'm not supposed to like him.
No.
I should hate him. I love him.
But I find him hilarious.
But that's where they go wrong. Their heels in WWE are too cool. They're too likable. They're too edgy.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like them. They're supposed to be like Jesse Goddard and Robbie E. You want to pay to see somebody beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I like going.
That's why the bromance works.
I go to an independent organization near where I live, and I enjoy going there. I love going to WWE. Don't get me wrong. I love going to WWE, and I love watching WWE. But there's nothing like that experience that you get when it's there and in front of you. Yes, it's a smaller crowd, but you know what? It's just awesome to me, I think.
In 1990, between 1994 and 1997, my best friend at the time and I used to have our own wrestling newsletter. And newsletters were out before websites were.
Okay.
And we used to go to independent shows in the Pittsburgh area, and we had press passes, and we'd go backstage and meet all the guys. But we would cover shows for our newsletter, local independent shit. And I'll tell you something, they were always a lot of fun. We met a lot of people. They were really busting their ass at a peak point because it was, like I said, it was leading up to 97, so wrestling was hot as hell. So you'd go to an independent show and you'd see some shit battle royal, or you'd see some blood match, or they fighting all over the crowd. It was a lot of fun. It was just good wrestling shows, and those guys busted their butts. It was nice to see. And I think the independent scene, they call it the independent scene today, and I tell you, I'd give my left end to have the territories back.
Hmm. So you watch Ring of Honor?
I do. I get it here.
There you go.
I'm in Central Ohio. We have Ring of Honor here on our cable because
you have a Sinclair Broadcasting.
Yes, I think also it has to do with the area because they run shows here. Ring of Honor came here.
I watch it on. I watch the TV on ringofhonor.com. I get to watch it for free. It's up for a week for me to watch it. So.
Yeah. I think they go to areas. I think they go to hotbeds like Chicago and Philly and Central Ohio because also here there's a late night wrestling on Sunday nights called Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I think Ohio Valley Wrestling used to be. Oh, I know it was. It used to be WWE's training.
Used to be TNA's too.
Yep. They have wrestling. It's like a 60-seat gym, but it's okay. It's not great, but it's not shit either. And I think Ring of Honor has shows here because they're hot
the wrestling organization I go to is called Chaotic Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But Ring of Honor, they come to Cincinnati and they come to Columbus, and I think that has to do with where they air their shows, where they have a pretty regular shows, major shows for them.
There you go. Did you get to see the any of the shows they've had, the iPay-per-views or anything? Do you watch those?
No, I hear they all have a lot of technical difficulties with them.
Well, I found a website that I watch them on, if you catch my drift.
Yes, send me the link in my DM.
Yeah, it's okay. I will. Yeah, you can watch them. They're pretty good. I watched what's the one from New York? I thought it was pretty good.
What, the New Japan one?
Yeah, the New Japan one. Yeah.
Was that good? I heard that were really. I heard those were.
I didn't watch the Toronto one. I watched the New York one. I didn't watch the Toronto one.
But I heard both shows, the New Japan shows that Ring of Honor had, were really, really good. I'd love to see them. Send me a thing in my DM.
Yeah. I will send you the website, and it's got a bunch of stuff on there. It's like a site people go to that don't have cable, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ring of Honor is awesome. I love Ring of Honor. A couple of the guys actually are signed to Ring of Honor. I actually see them at my independent organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Chaos Wrestling.
Huh?
Chaos Wrestling?
Chaotic Wrestling.
Chaotic Wrestling. See, I'm a guy. See, a lot of you guys on the Horseman a lot of those guys on the Horseman Hangout are just, all they know is WWE. Mm. I think that's pretty clear. I think that's all they've ever known. But the thing about it is growing up, and I've said this earlier, and I'm going to bring it back to that again, is I've always been a wrestling fan. So it didn't matter what company it was. It didn't matter how small the arena, smoky, dark arena. I love all of it. I love all of it. And there could be a different wrestling company having a show on every night of the week, and I'd watch every one of them.
Yeah.
I just
also on Friday nights in my area, there's this local. It's called New England Championship Wrestling. It's on this channel that basically the only thing that this channel shows is old or new infomercials, basically.
Well, that's how when ECW in like 95 or 94.
UPN 38, I believe, was the channel I got ECW on.
Well, that kind of channel, like you just mentioned, like they'd have an ad for, some vacuum cleaner or some blender, and then they would have ECW on. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then it would have its 1 hour hardcore TV show. Because my friends and I at the time, like I said, we were getting newsletters and we were reading about Sabu and we were reading about Sandman. And
dude, that guy's crazy, man. Sabu is freaking nuts.
We were reading about them, and it finally came to our town, and we stayed up one night. I'll never forget it. We got together at my friend's house, the same buddies that got all the pay-per-views. We were so excited that our cable in our area was finally getting ECW. We stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Watch the ECW.
Dude, I remember we're doing that. That was awesome, dude. Yeah, I remember staying up and watching Shotgun Saturday night. Friggin'.
But when we finally got ECW, it was like we were like. See, I had no problem staying up. Because I worked at the time. I worked at night. I worked night shifts, so it was a Saturday night. I was off this night, and I had ECW, and I was up. I was jacked.
Yeah, right.
My buddies were like trying so hard to stay up, and I was like, "Come on, man, ECW, we're gonna see bloodshed." And I was giddy like a kid on Christmas morning, and it came on, and we watched it. And we were so thrilled, and then I had met a friend through our newsletter who had he had a little business going where he sold bootleg tapes, and I bought a boatload of ECW tapes from him. They were like $20 for a 6-hour tape, as much as you could fill. And I said, just send me everything. And I got them like maybe a tape every couple weeks. And my friends and I would get together and just marathon it with ECW shit. And that was my first real exposure to ECW before it became national. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching it on like a local channel. Yeah, as well. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
those were the good old days.
It was fun in its time, and even Paul Heyman said, would something like that exist today? Probably not, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
So anything else? What else you got for us tonight?
What else do I got? Where the hell is my phone? I got something else. I can't remember. Went over the Samoa Joe thing. Yeah. Uh, I guess we could do word association. What
I
you
love
think?
that.
What you thought about this wrestler?
Yeah.
Uh, I will go with the most obscure wrestler, the Houdini of hardcore, Crash Holly.
I liked Crash, and I thought it was really a shame that he passed away. I was really of all the guys who died, and I don't know why this is, but maybe it was like Crash, and maybe Rick Rude and the British Bulldog, and and of course with his death, falling from the skies, that was just beyond. But of all the guys who had died, just died. It was Crash, Rick Rude, and Bulldog. I think surprised me the most. Like holy shit, really? Holy shit! Like that really took me by surprise for some reason, because I didn't think he was a drug guy, and I knew a lot of guys were, and I knew it was something of the time because a lot of guys were using drugs. And I leave Owen
I
out
don't
of
think
that.
stuff came out as much as does now.
Well, it was coming out a lot then because how many, 50 guys under 40 died or around the age of 40 died. I mean, my age, when I used to use, and this is, this is no infomercial, this is just the truth. I used to use recreationally pills and alcohol. And I think it was Brian Pillman's death, and he's another one. He died doing some of the same shit I was doing, maybe even less. And that kind of kicked me in the ass a little, because I remember my friends and I were out at a sports bar that night, and the next day we got together and got that Bad Blood pay-per-view. And the night before at that sports bar, I was blasted out of my mind. Okay? And when I had heard about Brian Pillman, it was like, oh. That was a bit of a kick in the ass. And that's the truth. And I will tell anybody that, because I remember how I felt the night before. I barely remembered the night before, but I know we went out.
Well, my philosophy on that is, when I hear a wrestler dies, there's not been a lot that really hit me. There's only, I can only count a few, on probably all my fingers how many, I truly, was sad about, like that really got to me. That just, I don't know. When I hear somebody dies, I'm like, oh shit, that sucks,
Yeah.
Of course, that's your first reaction to say, oh, that sucks,
Owen was sad. Owens was sad, but I think that...
I think Owens was universally sad because everybody knew that guy was awesome.
He was awesome, and it was so sudden, and it was an accident. It was just, he fell. But the reason why the wrestlers' deaths hit me is because they were dying from shit that I was being stupid. I was doing those things. I was using muscle relaxers and painkillers, and I was washing them down with alcohol.
Well, I'm glad you are no longer doing that.
Of course. My girlfriend's in the pharmaceutical business. She'd kick me in the ass if I messed with that. She wouldn't tolerate that bullshit. For one, but I mean, I have a newfound respect for my own life that I wouldn't do it anyway. But what I'm saying is, when I would hear about these guys who were larger than life people who were, their hearts stopped because they wanted to get high, I was like, whoa, it's time to, not even wrestlers. It was like, people that I had heard about younger than me who were doing less and dying from it. I have a pretty strong constitution. I don't get sick a lot, so I've been probably lucky. I think I'm honestly, and this is, this isn't wrestling. This is real. I think I'm lucky probably to be sitting here right now, and that's the truth. because I was pretty stupid and I did a lot of stupid things. But I can say it at 38 years old that I acknowledge it. And I say to anybody who's watching, right, you're goddamn right, and I say that if anybody watches this, if you are doing any of that shit, I get it, but you know what? Get rid of it. Because it's not worth it. It just isn't. Because it'll kill you. And if you're healthy enough or smart enough to know better, don't.
I've been through it with my brother. We're going through it right now with my brother.
You talked about with the house, right?
Yeah. You know, he basically, you know.
Well, he takes pills and stuff?
Yeah, he was taking pills and.
Yeah. Drinking?
No, he never was a drinker. It was just, you know, pills, friggin' whatever he could get his hands on, man, honestly. I don't even know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know all he was taking. Honestly.
It doesn't matter. He had his problems, or has his problems. It doesn't matter what.
He's in a rehab facility right now, getting.
Really? Is he younger or older?
He's older.
Yeah.
He's older than me.
How old a guy is he?
He is 33. He'll be 34 in July.
So you're selling his house. Is this where he lived?
Yes, this was his used house. This was his, you know, house of where he did his drugs.
So who owns the home?
It was my parents.
My parents own it. Now, what made him decide to sell it? Was it because of him?
They have decided to sell it because he destroyed the house, honestly.
Oh, boy. Is that where you're sitting right now, in it?
No. This is my other parents' house. See, where I grew up across the street from my grandparents. The house that I'm sitting in was my grandmother's. We grew up across the street in the house that we grew up in that my parents are either trying to sell, get rid of, give back to the bank. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing.
Your brother wrecked it.
Yeah.
Was he living there? Was he living there alone?
Well, what happened is the last week he went on a binger. You know, he knew he was going to rehab, honestly, and this is real life, like you said. He, you know, was going on a binger, and he didn't give a shit. He was going to rehab, and he was sick in the head, and he did not turn off the water, and the pipes froze and burst, and we had a water infestation is basically what we had.
The pipes froze. It's been 80 degrees for 2 weeks.
This was at the beginning of the winter.
Oh, so this isn't this didn't just happen.
No. It was between the winter months this happened. He left in January. He's been there he's been in this rehab facility since January.
Well, sometimes people need a kick in the balls.
Well, this is his second attempt at rehab, so he's had a rough life. You know.
How old are you, Steve?
I am 29 years old.
Are you close with your brother?
I would say it's had its ups and downs.
Do you have other brothers and or sisters?
I have a sister. I'm closer with my sister, I would say.
Is she older or younger?
She is older.
Yeah, is she older than him?
Yeah, she is younger than him. She's in the middle. I'm the baby. He's the oldest. I have two siblings.
Yeah, I have a sister. She's younger than me. We did not see eye to eye a whole lot when we were younger, but now as adults we get along famously. Me and my
sister, we always got along.
She has two little baby girls, my little nieces. I love them to pieces. They are my little babies. And when she was single, when she was not married, when she did not have kids before then, her and I did not always get along, but we get along right now. And it's the thing, when you get older, you appreciate your siblings more than you realize. Mm. As you age, you will.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them, you will.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've always been close with my sister.
But your brother will get his shit together, and you will be close again.
Oh, I love my brother. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that I don't love my brother. I have a deep, fond love for my brother, you know. I think it's, you know, it's kind of a weird relationship, you know. I love him, he loves me, but there's not that we don't do, you know, hang out or do things together. I mean, we'll go to a concert here and there, or maybe a baseball game here or there, but there's not much
Well,
hanging out, you know.
well, he needs to sort his things out, and you guys will be okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. And he's come a long way. He's matured in 4 months that he's been, you know, he's getting the help he sorely needs.
I never needed help, but I know that I was not.
I think he was in that.
I even said to my girlfriend once. I said, you know, I wish we had been. I wish we had more years together. And then I thought about it, and it was like, you know what? Maybe it's good that we didn't, because she wouldn't have liked me the way that I was 10 years ago. You know.
Right. Honestly, Mark, I think he was in that position in his life where if he didn't go to rehab, he would either it was rehab, death, or jail.
Hmm.
You know,
Well,
I think that he was at that crossroads. He was
well, I always looked at drugs like a hot fudge sundae. They're good, but you don't need one every day.
no.
And I never got hooked, so I think I was lucky in that regard.
Right. You were able to get yourself out of the trenches.
I was. I didn't, and it's the same thing for this cold beverage I'm having right now. I enjoy it. I like it, but it's not something that I drink sometimes more. I sometimes drink more times than others, but I'm not completely hooked on it. I like it, but I'm not. It's not a crutch for me.
Right.
And not everybody has that luxury. Some people have a very addictive personality, and they cannot stop.
Right.
And I know it sounds very cliched, but I can stop anytime I want, and I always do.
Right. All right. Well, now that we've had our heavy portion of the night, back to word association.
Yes.
Manager Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh, the Brain. I always loved the Brain. I always thought he was fantastic. When I was a young guy, I thought he was the bee's knees, man. That guy was fantastic. And I think
you hated him, you loved him, you know?
No, I never hated him. I thought he was genius. I thought he was fantastic. And when I was a young kid, I thought he was, like I said, I thought he was just great. He was smart. He was funny on the microphone. And when it came to wrestling time, he was very cutthroat. He knew what it took to have a roster of, or a stable, or as he called them, a family of guys who had championships. I loved it. I thought he was just awesome. He was and funny. I think he is one of the last of a dying breed of managers.
Oh yeah.
And I would love to see that come back again. I think the closest we have to that now, of course, is Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
But Bobby, hell yeah, Bobby was great.
Bobby was the man. Loved Bobby the Brain.
Bobby the Brain, and it's kind of sad and sickening to see his photos today. It's a shame.
Yeah, I almost cry every time, you know, I see a picture of him.
You know, you see, when I think of Bobby, I think of those sequin jackets and bow ties and that fat face and that bleached hair and you know, and his pointing to his head and all this. But now you see Bobby, and he's just a shell of himself, and it's sad.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, you know, go to, you know, shows and meet him, and I tell them when I respect people that go meet him, you know, if that's your thing, I can't go see Bobby the Brain Heenan like that.
It's almost like, and this is a weird comparison, but to me, it's almost like you don't want to go to a relative's funeral because you want to remember them how you remember them.
Yeah.
You know, like you almost don't want to go see your relative in a coffin or sickly. You want to see them you want to remember them how you remember them. Like you see Bobby, you want to remember him like, you know, the Weasel. You want to remember the Weasel with the bleached hair and the sequins and all this. But to see him with, you know, his jaw is removed and it's a shame. It really is. And you know what's sick about it? is if Bobby saw someone like that, he would make fun, because there was the joke that Honky Tonk Man on one of the shoot interviews. Honky Tonk Man said that when Harley Race had intestinal surgery, he had his guts removed, and Bobby said, well, hopefully nobody gives Harley an atomic drop because his colostomy bag will spill all over the ring, and there was a lot of heat about it. See, that's the thing. Bobby was a fucking ball breaker, man. So if Bobby saw somebody that looked like Bobby does today, he'd say, well, look at this creature here. He would. He was ripped. He was really. He was that guy in school that talked shit, because they said that his character on TV, Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart both said it. His character on TV was his real life. Like, he was really a smartass. Like, he'd rip everybody a new ass and laugh.
Did you see his biography?
Bobby? Yeah, it was great. They all said he was the funniest motherfucker that they had ever seen or heard.
Who was it? Arn Anderson? I want to say Arn Anderson was like.
And they say Arn Anderson's really funny, but they all say Arn's funny, but Arn said that Bobby Heenan, like, they were doing an interview, and like Bobby would like talk shit on Gene, and they'd he said, I bite my tongue to not laugh on TV, and we're supposed to be out there, we're gonna beat your ass, but Bobby would say some shit, and because he would really rip somebody a new asshole. Mm-hmm. and laugh in their face, and he just had everybody in stitches all constantly.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That anymore. Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't. Bobby knew how to be a manager. Bobby knew how to turn that crowd. He had said, and there's an interview before his tongue was removed. And watch those shoots on YouTube with Jim Cornette. He said there was somebody shot a gun at him. They shot him. They tried to shoot him. There was a pop. He thought somebody had like one of those little champagne bottles that you pull the string and that shit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He thought somebody had that. He said there was somebody shooting him because they didn't have. There was like he said the guardrail was a string on some poles.
Yeah.
And somebody was shooting. He was like, "Oh fuck, we're screwed." So he always had a good sense of humor, Bobby. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wish he could have gone out and maybe done some stand-up comedy instead of going to WCW. I know towards the tail end that I think I've heard him even said he didn't love being in WCW.
Oh, he thought it was garbage, but the reason he went is because at the time, and to this day they don't. He said WWE did not offer insurance.
Right.
Because Turner was a company. Turner was a corporate, a conglomerate, a corporation at the time. WWE maybe is different now, but Bobby went to Turner for insurance because he needed surgery on his neck. That whole thing with the neck brace when Hulk used to choke him and punch him. And that's another thing what made Bobby great was he was a manager who would get in your face, and they would chase him, and he'd either jump over the top rope, or if they punched him, he'd flopped around. And but he went to WCW for the insurance so he could have surgery on his neck because he needed it. He said he couldn't even turn his head to the left anymore.
Now, was that from all the bumps he took in WWE? Or
he said that he had a match because when he was a manager in the 70s. He used to manage even before then. Oh no, it probably was in Chicago, somewhere out of Chicago.
Chicago, yes, he started in Chicago. That is correct.
Yeah. There was some match he had. He managed the Blackjacks, Mulligan and Lanza.
Yep.
There was some 6-man deal, and some Japanese wrestler did a leg drop on Bobby, and I guess he said something like he sat up. And the leg did the leg drop on his head, and it landed on top. It fucked his neck up. And he said it hurt, but it never felt the same, and it fucked something up in his neck, and he never had it looked at because he was with WWF, flopping all over the ring and getting punched out and flying over the top rope, and he just never took a time off, and it got worse and worse progressively. So he went to WCW and got his insurance to have his surgery that he needed. That was all.
Right.
But
That's why
he said that WWF was the best and WCW sucked and he hated it and he was never the same guy twice.
him and Shivani did not get along, I guess.
No, he didn't like Tony. He actually said something about Tony had kind of some BO. I don't know how true that is, but he said in his book, I think, one of his books, I had one of his books. Oh my God, it's rambling. It's like from beginning to end, he's just going off about a bunch of shit. But he said something in there about Tony had BO or something.
He had the best Hall of Fame speech, I think.
I gotta watch that. I don't think I saw that.
Dude, it is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it funnier than Iron Sheik's?
Well, I think Iron Sheik's was funny because you couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. All he said was that he loved WWE.
Let me tell you something. You go on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Follow Iron Sheik on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen some of his tweets.
His tweets are fucking hysterical. But I wish Bobby was on Twitter because if Twitter were out 30 years ago, he would have been cutting up. Heenan would have been cutting up.
No.
But yeah, I always liked Bobby. I always loved Bobby. I always thought, I'll tell you, as a kid, I remember always thinking he had a great sense of fashion. I really did. I thought his clothes, I was like, man, this guy can dress, and he is funny, and I just love him. And he also was not only that, but he would go to the ring and lead the charge of guys who were going to have some championships.
He was awesome. I loved him. I got a few more questions here. It's almost 2 o'clock. We've been on here for 2 hours, man.
Yeah, I got shit to do tomorrow. I gotta get some sleep. I gotta eat. So let's have them.
All right. My final, pretty much, couple questions here. Favorite. I asked this question because I got the Factions DVD today, the Blu-ray. Not bad. I've watched a little bit of it. What is your favorite faction in pro wrestling?
I will tell you that in a second, as long as you tell me, was that my last word association person?
Yes.
Okay. So it was just Dixie Carter and Bobby the Brain.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it wasn't Dixie Carter.
Oh, what was the other one?
Oh, wait. No, I had one more. Sorry.
All right. Let's get to that, and then I'll get to the factions. Go ahead. I won't stretch it out. I'll make it brief. Go ahead.
All right. Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. Those are my last ones.
They were trailblazers. They were trailblazers, and they managed to stay relevant their entire lives.
Yep. Sure did.
Everybody loved them, and they were fun and funny. I think that stupid thing with that hand was, oh my God, I can't tell you how many ways I hated that. But Mae and Moolah, fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin named one of his dogs Moolah.
Yeah.
Okay? When Mae Young was on the verge of death, she was still talking when they took her off life support. Tough old bitch right there. That's a tough grandma.
Yeah.
Mae
Young was funny as hell,
She was a tough old bird. Dude, that was the first pair of tits you saw on pay-per-view. Man. She took that top off. She didn't care.
No, she wasn't the first one to show tits, technically. Kat was.
I'm talking about full on. She dropped them, man. She showed them. She was like, and all the divas came in and tried to cover her up, and she's like, no, I'm showing you these old people. She was proud of that.
Whether you like it or not.
That's right. And that was hilarious, and they were fun and funny, and I think they got it. And I think they embraced the fact that they were old birds, and they were still tough. Dude, they took a beating from 3 Minute Warning.
Yeah.
The splashes in that fucking Samoan drop, they took a beating, man. Through a table. They were tough to the end.
Yeah.
Good for them. They were good. Tough and cool. All right, go ahead.
I heard I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard something about. Do you remember when Bischoff and Stone Cold were doing the
Co-GMs?
co-GMs? Yes,
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff had a match. They did this pay-per-view. I think it was Judgment Day, where they ran the pay-per-view and they were just doing these obscene things. You know, they had a
No,
drinking
I'll
contest.
stop. I'll tell you what it was. Watch your network. Do you subscribe to the WWE network?
Yes.
Watch it. Bad Blood, 2003.
Bad Blood, okay. Bad Blood, okay, yeah. They had a drinking contest.
It was the Redneck Triathlon.
Redneck Triathlon, yes. They had a pie eating contest, and Stone Cold made Mae Young come down and make Bischoff.
She gave Bischoff the Bronco Buster right in
Yes.
his face.
And I have heard, I don't know how true this is, that she put a sardine down in her crotch to.
She probably did. She probably did because she, just like Moolah, she got it. She knew she was an old hag, and it was funny, and she was tough. They both were tough. Yes, that I don't know about the sardine, but yes, that was. I think Bad Blood. I think it was Bad Blood 2003.
Yes.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but it was around the summer in 2003, and that's what the Redneck Triathlon. It was a drink. It was like beer drink, a belching contest and a fighting contest. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So favorite. Now we'll go into the favorite faction question. I have two. After this, two more questions, and then we'll call it a night.
All right. I always liked the Dangerous Alliance. They were, and I was excited to see them on the Countdown on the network. If you watched, they had Countdown this past week, the newest episode of Countdown. They had factions, and they came in at number 9.
Nice.
I always liked the Dangerous Alliance. Dangerous Alliance was probably the greatest collection of talent, aside from the Four Horsemen, that there's ever been.
That was Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman, he managed. Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko, and Arn Anderson.
There we go.
For 1991 and 1992 in professional wrestling, you didn't have a stronger semblance of people. They were short-lived. They didn't even last a year. But I thought they were phenomenal. And I was a fan of those I was a fan of that faction from day one. Now, I'm not counting the Horsemen. The Horsemen were the Horsemen. The Horsemen defined faction.
Right. They're in the book of their own.
Yes, and I think the greatest alliance of the faction was the greatest Four Horsemen group was Rick, Arn, Tully, and Barry.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Four Horsemen.
They were the first faction to get over in a big-name company.
That was the first time that heels were faces naturally. They were loved. The Four Horsemen were loved by fans. But they weren't supposed to be.
No.
They were breaking Dusty Rhodes' leg, and they were smashing Ricky Morton's face. Yeah. And the fans were doing this. And that's how your Horsemen hang out. And these kids that run the Horsemen Hangout don't know from the Horsemen, but I was alive when they were not born yet, watching the Horsemen. Okay, but yeah, that was they were good. They were the first.
So your faction is the Dangerous Alliance. My faction would be.
Hold on. One moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm back. My favorite faction was the Dangerous Alliance, but the best faction, as far as just supremacy and legacy, is the Horsemen. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You can have a favorite, but then you can acknowledge who was the best.
Oh,
and
yeah.
no one can deny that the Four Horsemen were the best.
I think my favorite faction, just for pure, entertainment, was, I loved watching DX. I just loved the original DX stuff, from, all the jokes they did, from, from invading WCW and all that stuff, and just, that was my faction.
Interesting, and I'll make this brief, but Eric Bischoff was on Stone Cold's podcast.
Yep.
It was like 4 parts he was talking to him.
Yep.
And Austin asked him something like, what were your biggest regrets in running WCW? And one of the things that Eric Bischoff said was, I wish I would have let DX into that garage.
Yep.
Because he said, could you imagine, no matter what you felt at the time or who was your favorites in the war and blah, 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 what the fuck would you think if WWF people were on our show and we were on their show? He said that would have been the fucking Waterloo of that war.
Yeah.
He said that was one of my major regrets. He said I should have just said, yeah, fuck them, let them in. And he really said, I wish I had done that. He said that was ballsy. He said that was the first ballsy move that Raw made, WWF made at the time. He said that was chutzpah beyond. And he said, I wish I would just, he said, we were cautious and we didn't want to worry about the network. He said, screw it, let them in. He said, I wish I would have done that. That would have been funny.
Would have been funny to see what they would have done.
Just to see, like, how that would have turned out, because it would have been a simulcast at that point. Because both shows were going on at the same time.
Yeah.
It would have been a simulcast. It would have been, he said, we would have had our cameras on them, and they would have had their cameras on us.
Right.
Yeah, he said we should have just done it. He said He said we were too cautious about what the network would have reacted to. He said we should have just done it. He said that was one of his main regrets.
All right, I said I had 2 more, but I only have 1 more, I guess. All right.
Okay. Mike,
favorite wrestling mark-out moment?
Wow. Jesus.
I know it sounds like a loaded question.
That covers a lot of territory.
Yeah.
Oh man, my favorite. Holy shit. Okay, no, I got an answer to that. I was always, like I said, I was always a Stone Cold fan. I was always a Steve Austin fan. And, screaming at the top of my lungs and laughing and, oh, yeah, here comes Stone Cold. There was one on TV and one in person.
Okay.
I'll give the in-person one, but I'll give mine after you. Go ahead, you first.
All right, my TV one is the only one I could think of when I was writing this question was just from a pure how I felt, and it was when Triple H returned from his quad injury.
2002, right before the Rumble.
Yep, when he came out, and even JR said it on TV. He said that is the loudest ovation he's ever heard in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. What about your in-person?
My in-person one would be a recent one. It was after WrestleMania. It was at WrestleMania 28.
Yeah.
In Miami. It was after the Hell in the Cell match. When Undertaker and Triple H and they were carrying each other out, I was standing with my best friend, my dad, at WrestleMania, our first WrestleMania, and just that moment, we all embraced a hug, and it was just Awesome.
Kind of like they did. Kind of like what was it? Triple H and Shawn and Taker did.
Yeah.
You did the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I could say it was my in-person moment was, like I said, when I was a kid, my dad would get us tickets every month because they came to Pittsburgh every month. WWF did when I was 7 or 8, and seeing the guys going, we'd watch every Saturday morning, but when you'd go live, it was like, ooh, wow, this is larger than life. This is real. This is great.
Yeah.
But I would say my greatest mark-out moment on television, I'll give that one first,
All right.
was probably the first thing that turned me on to wrestling when I said, man, this stuff is great. When I was like maybe 8. When Roddy Piper hit Jimmy Snuka with that coconut. And I know we've seen it a million times, but that was my moment that hooked me and pulled me in. It was probably that on TV. But in person was probably WrestleMania 19. I was there in Seattle for Stone Cold's last match.
Nice.
And I didn't know, no one did going in, that it was his last match. And he even said on his vest, it said OMR on his vest when he went to the ring that night. It said that meant one more round. When he lost to The Rock and he got up and left the ring and he gave everybody the double middle fingers as he left, and I cried a little bit. Yeah, I got really choked up. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. And the girl I was seeing at the time, she was there with me, and she pointed it out to me. She said, "Do you know you cried?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And I think that was probably a mark-out moment because it wasn't yelling and screaming. It was genuinely like, wow, that was really just really great. And I just because I realized at that point it was his last match, and it has been. That was 11 years ago. He hasn't had a match since. So that was my number one mark-out moment in person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there were 50 others that I could mention, and I can't even think of them at the moment. But that was my number one that comes to mind right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else tonight?
Nope.
Oof. Okay. Well, I am ready to go myself.
Yeah. So it was good talking with you, Mark.
It
is. What's your Twitter handle?
It is on my.
There we go. At Real Mark Golden on Twitter. Follow him. He's a good guy. As you know, if you're watching this, I've had a good time talking with you tonight, Mark, for Triple H Guy 2004. The Real Mark Golden on Twitter. You guys have a good night. See you later.